Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make an Adidas store for all of your city building needs. Not only will I show you how to make the entire outside of the store, but I'll also show you how to make the entire inside of your store as well. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. If you're new around here, please do consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the little bell next to the subscription button to make sure that you get all of these videos sent directly to your sub box. But without any further ado, let's get started. Now, just before we begin building our store, ladies and gentlemen, here are all of the materials that we are going to be using throughout the build. Please do make sure that you have access to all of those materials and enough of them as well. The amount of space required to make the store is a 27 by 32 block area as represented by the red grid on the ground. Do feel free to make this area in your world if you like, and do bear in mind that this grid involves a little bit of car parking space in front of the build, so do bear that in mind. And that's it. Pause the video if you have to. Do make sure that you got all that stuff. Make sure that you've got enough room to make it. Make sure that you're ready. And once you are, we can begin. Step 1, my sportswear enthusiasts. Come all the way over to the front left-hand corner of your grid. That is, of course, if you've made it. From the front left-hand corner, count backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is where we're going to start off. Begin by placing 5 black concrete on top of each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab your quartz slabs and extend the 5th concrete to the right by 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I then want you to stick a white concrete on the end, extend it up by 2, 1, 2, place a quartz slab on top, extend that quartz slab backwards, and then to the right by 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then extend that 10th block towards you, and then place a row of white concrete going all the way down to the ground. If you like, you can also connect that other row of white concrete down to the ground as well. You'll end up with this. What is important is that we then take the white concrete block that, of course, hit the ground. I want you to then place a black concrete behind it. And then we are going to place 7 black glass going right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stick a black concrete on the end. Extend it towards you by 1. And then up by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you can extend the 4th black concrete to the left using your quartz slabs. You'll end up with this shape right here. That is the majority of the storefront complete, or at least in terms of structure. What we are now going to do is work on these sides. These sides each have to be extended back a certain amount using black concrete. On this side we already have a black concrete placed, so we're going to come to the original side to make it easy. Place 22 black concrete extending backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. By the way, this row also has to be as high as the row that it extended out from. So you want to add about 4 rows of black concrete on top until it equals the height of the original row. And of course, we are going to do a similar thing on this opposite side here. So on this side, you don't actually have to count it. You just want to make a row of black concrete that is even and equal to the row that is on the opposite side of the build. We have the options to add windows and further details later, although you will see why I haven't chosen to add them in when we start working on the inside of the build. We now have walls. We have to make some interesting details on these back walls, however. We're going to take each one of the top 2 corners of the walls that we have created, and we are going to extend them inwards by 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Join down to the ground. Do the same on the opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And join down just as you did on that side. You can then join them both together in the middle like this, and you should have something which should look like that. What you can then do is you can choose to fill the middle of these areas in using blue concrete. Now this is going to make the walls from the outside look quite cool, because we're going to have the nice mix of blue and black, and we will also have quite a modern design in that it is going to be set inwards. So we'll have something which should look like that. Doesn't that look pretty good? I think it does. Anyway, now that we have done that, we can turn our attention to the front. Earlier, I said that the structure was almost complete, and it is on the front, but there is a lot more to do other than just adding in the framework. So I feel as though that we should begin with the actual front entrance, where you're actually going to go into the store. Underneath this row of quartz slabs at the top of the build, I want you to place 4 rows of black concrete. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, these rows of black concrete are going to span the width of the area between the 2 vertical rows of white concrete. We also want to place some quartz slabs underneath, like this. Also, I want to create where you're going to walk in. So I'm going to place an entire row of black concrete riding up behind and to the sides of the sign that we've just made. So this is how it looks from the inside. But it's actually easier to kind of build looking inwards, because we then want to have a row of white concrete coming in from the left and right behind the rows that we've just made. So you can see it's like layer upon layer upon layer of depth, like this. And then we want to add another row of white concrete behind, and this is what I mean, layer upon layer upon layer. And now we can start making the actual doors. So the doors are quite simply going to be, we're going to have a black stained glass block coming inwards on the left and right. We're going to have a solid row of glass block right in the middle like this as well. And then we're just going to have some black stained glass pane on the left and right hand sides, or maybe just on one side here, so that we have like 2 separate entrances as we walk in. And then you can place something that looks like door handles, which I would recommend some sort of fence like this. And then it looks as though that the doors are partially open. It looks as though that you can actually walk in there. And it's like a really satisfying entrance because of all the depth and the contrast of colors. Again, my opinion, I just think it looks cool. We're going to grab the quartz slab and we're going to make the actual Adidas logo. So if you come to the bottom left hand corner of the black concretes of the sign and you count to the right by 1, 2, you want to place a quartz slab that is half a row upwards from the bottom. You then want to leave a gap of 1, do the same going right, gap of 1, do the same going right. So this is how we start this off. The first one only wants an additional quartz slab on top. The second one wants a whole quartz block and then a slab on top. The third one wants 2 quartz blocks and then a slab on top. And that's as easy as it gets. That is the logo, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you could do a thing with banners and you could make it look all fancy and all of that. That is our logo though. We've got a nice 3D simple to make logo, and we're going to be reusing that too. Okay, so now that we've kind of got where we're going to be walking into the store sorted out, we have some important store windows. These are a very cool part of the build. I like these quite a bit. So to give you an idea, we're going to place a row of black concrete in the ground, set one row backwards, like this, between the entrance and the side walls. We want to have 3 rows of glass on top of the black concrete, so it's going to look like 1, 2, 3. On top of the black concrete, you'll have a layer of white concrete. On top of that, you will have a layer of black glass, like this. So I'm just going to come behind here because it's actually easier, and I'm going to extend all of these materials across, and that's what makes up just one window, and that's just the front part. We have to make the actual display part of the window as well. So there we go. Like, it looks quite well from the inside. It looks boring, but from the outside it looks quite cool. So on the inside, we want to have 3 rows to display mannequins. So I'm going to dig in the ground 3 rows backwards, the width of the window, and I'm actually going to replace it all using some white concrete. So this really wants to pop, and there's not really a colour that pops better against black than white, I don't think. So that's why we're choosing white. And then behind the 3 rows, we're going to construct a wall of blue concrete that is going to be as high as the walls of the store, like that, right? That is going to sit behind, so to give the other 2 colours something to contrast against themselves, we have blue, which is perfect. Now, this blue here is also going to serve as a backdrop to where the logo is going to be. So the logo, of course, you guys know, we're going to make it up using quartz slabs, but this time it's a simple version. We begin starting from the bottom left hand corner, move up to the right diagonally, quartz slab. Gap of 1, 2 quartz slabs. Gap of 1, 3 quartz slabs on top of each other, like that, right? You can place it a bit higher or lower in the window, but the window's only, essentially, the bottom part, the part that you can see through, is only 3 rows of glass, so you've got to fit it in there, okay? So now that we've got the left side taken out, let's move over to the right side. So on the right side, we already have all of this glass pane for the window, which is fantastic. So we're just going to place a bit of black concrete underneath there. Contrast. We're going to place 2 more rows of glass on top. That's pane. White concrete. Black glass. Very modern building. We use a lot of modern building techniques here, actually. And we're, of course, going to extend each one of these materials across to the opposite side. So just like this. That is wonderful. We then want to have 3 rows of white concrete in the floor, 1, 2, 3, and we just want all of them to extend backwards like this. And this is where the mannequins are going to go. And then we're going to have a row of blue concrete that once again it spans the width of the window, and it is also as high as the wall surrounding it. And by the way, that also makes the roof look cool as well. So like when you sometimes see it from the top, if you're up there for whatever reason, you'll be able to see quite a cool window. And of course we have to have the logo. Now the logo, we're going to start in the same place, bottom left hand corner here, move up to the right diagonally, quartz slab, gap of 1, 2 quartz slabs on top of each other, gap of 1. Actually, I think that we might have started that. We may have started that in the wrong place. My bad. Okay, so we start from the bottom left-hand corner of this wall. You want to move across by 2 because we want to start where the window starts, which is here. Move to the right, quartz slab, gap of 1, 2 quartz slab, gap of 1, 3 quartz slab. There we go. That's perfect. So that sits perfectly in the window now. It wants to be right in the middle. The middle part of the logo wants to be right in the middle of this 4th glass. So now you can see it's quite an impressive looking entrance, isn't it? I really, really like how that comes out. I think that it looks awesome like that. So before we start messing about with car parking spaces and all of these things, we're actually going to now focus a bit on the roof of the building. So I want to separate the roof in a sense. I want to first of all extend these signs backwards. So this big giant sign here, I want to take the quartz slabs and I want to extend it backwards by 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to sit just behind the blue concretes. I'm going to extend the black concretes of the sign backwards so that they of course even out with the sign. So I want to extend them backwards so that they even out with the quartz slabs, I should say. There we go. We want to extend all of these quartz slabs across the top like this. You can even fill the top of the sign in with glass, and that'll let in natural light. However, I'm going to be adding in a false ceiling anyway into this part, so it depends what your setup looks like. That allows us to then, and by the way, also black concrete here, just coming across the top. That allows us to fill the tops of these parts of the building in as well. So just above the display cases, I'm going to use glass to keep things very nice and bright. That way we don't have to add any artificial lighting if we don't want to. However, I am. You'll see that at the end of the video. I'm going to add a row of black concrete behind the blue concrete, and that will join the sign down. It will kind of put a frame behind the back of the display windows, and we'll also be able to then connect the sign downwards to something. We're only going to divide it in two more ways. So it works out that if you take the bottom left hand corner of the sign and the bottom right hand corner of the sign, that doesn't actually work. I thought it did, but it's no big deal. Basically, you want to take the black concretes between the rows of blue concrete areas, and you want to extend them forwards like this. Perfect. So like that. And you want to extend it forwards like this. Just like that. So we will end up, if you take a look at this from the top, we'll end up with this, which is quite a nice divided area. It's quite a nice looking roof. It looks very clean. I'm going to choose to fill the top of my roof, and I might also extend the blue concretes as well. If you extend the blue concretes up at the back, then it will look quite nice too, because we've got some more blue concrete at the front of the build like that, which is quite cool. You could even choose to add like another row of black concrete if you wanted to, which I'm thinking about doing actually. Let's add another row of black concrete so that the roof looks a little bit cooler from the top. And then let's fill the top of the roof in with glass. I don't think that that really impacts any sort of building on the inside. And once this has been complete, ladies and gentlemen, the structure of your store will also be complete. What we'll be doing next is, well, we'll be filling in the store. We do also have some further business outside the front of the store in terms of parking and paths and stuff like that, but that also completely depends on where you're building the store. I should also mention as well, because I like to give you guys options, you don't have to fill in the roof with glass. I like to fill in the roof with glass because it keeps the building very, very bright, well, during the day. If you do want to fill the roof in with, say, blue concrete, white concrete, black concrete, any sort of colour that we've kind of used before that would make sense, feel free to use that instead of glass. But again, it's quite cool, it's quite modern, and it looks good. And the whole roof looks good once you've filled it in. Nice. I like that. I think that that looks really, really cool. So now that that is done, ladies and gentlemen, the next thing that we are going to do is work out the front a bit. And it's really, really simple to do. So first, I want to dig out about 2 rows in front of the store that is solely going to be smooth stone. So just so that we can walk in front of the store, smooth stone, like this. So we've got a path. The area underneath the glass for the store, I'm going to make black concrete. Now, I'm going to do that preemptively. And the reason for that is because with placing the smooth stone, I want there to be a clear boundary between the inside and the outside. So you can see that's going to be dug out, smooth stone is going to go in there. Car parking spaces for me are always made in the same way. They're about 6 or 7 blocks long, right? So I'm going to start at the end of the smooth stone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to place white concrete on the end here to create a boundary. I'm going to place 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, of an area where the car can actually park inside. So that's going to be grey concrete, cyan terracotta, something grey or black, something that would make sense to park on. And then we're going to stick a white concrete on the end. So that's what a car parking space is going to look like, but imagine that filled in with grey concrete, of course. We're going to do the same again coming in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll stick a white concrete on the end. And that is how this area is going to be divided up pretty much. So if you imagine the same thing on this opposite side here, we're going to have a row of, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. It's actually quite long. You only need about 5 or 6, but I guess you can put massive vehicles here if you want to. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. Place some grey concrete here. White concrete on the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grey concrete. White concrete on the end. And that really does give you some foundations. So again, it also depends on where you're building this. If you're building this by itself, if you're building it on a retail park, if you're building it with loads of other stores, if you're building it in a town center, you're going to want to change the atmosphere around the store. This is kind of an all-purpose, general built kind of outside area. So you can have cars if you want, you don't have to, you can fill it all in with smooth stone, you don't even have to have this front bit, but that's what I've kind of designed it as. You can chuck this pretty much anywhere. So do modify the front as you see fit. What I am now going to do, however, is I'm just going to dig all of that out and replace it with all of the relevant material so it looks good. Back in a moment. So this is what the outside of the store could look like if you do decide to make all of those changes like I have myself. Don't feel the need to do that, of course. That is completely up to you. But now that is all done, we get to take a little bit of a wander onto the inside of our build. There is a lot to do in here, ladies and gentlemen. There is a lot to do. So why don't we get started? We'll need black concrete, white concrete, blue concrete, birchwood planks, some quartz stairs, some quartz slabs, some weighted pressure plates, some iron trapdoors, and some iron bars to start off with, just in case you want to grab those. So the first thing that I want to do in here is I want to create a ceiling just above where the actual main entrance is. So I'm going to use a bit of white concrete for this, and I'm just going to fill in this gap just directly above the doors, and the white concrete is going to move forwards like this, and just for now it's just going to come about this far to where the blue concrete is. We're going to make sure that we don't have any gaps anywhere. Perfect. What might also be a good idea is if we add some black concrete on the ends of the blue concrete that we have here, like this. And we might also then add another row of black concrete just extending forwards. And this kind of creates a bit of a frame, like so. So this area here, we can have some stuff. This area here, we can have some stuff. And it does kind of put all of this area in kind of like a nice box. So what else will we be doing? Well, I'm going to dig in the ground and I'm going to literally extend the rows of black concrete that I just placed all the way towards the back of the building. So in the ground, dig out all of this grass here, and I'm going to replace it using black concrete. So again, it's about dividing this space. I want to have rows of black concrete that divide the blue concrete on the back of the build as well. So creating some very simple wall designs. So on the back of the build, we have 3 separate spaces. On the front of the build, we have 3 separate spaces. What might also look cool as well is you might want to maybe extend the blue outwards rather than the black. You know how we have 2 rows of black? It might be cool to actually have blue there as well, and you could even maybe like extend it across the top here, or maybe just leave it. I haven't decided. You're going to have to tinker with things until you're quite happy with the results, but you can see that we're making some headways in dividing up the store. The middle part of the store here is going to have a different floor to the store on the left and right side. So the middle part of the store, to make it a bit more inviting and to of course split things up, I'm going to use birch planks for this entire middle floor part of the store. On the right side of the store, I'm going to have white concrete in the floor instead, and I'm also going to do the same thing on the left side of the store too. So just to kind of give you guys a bit of a preview, we're basically going to have a birch wood plank sandwich, which sounds like it'd hurt your teeth. It sounds like it'd give you splinters, but all it will do is look good. So white concrete here, birch there, and white concrete there. And I'm just going to dig all of that out and replace it, and it'll end up looking This is what the area will look like once it has been divided up evenly into the white, birch and white concrete. I really like how it looks. I think it's nice, it's bright, it's a good colour contrast between all the materials that we've used already. But do of course feel free to differentiate into other concretes or woods or whatever. But now that all of that is done, ladies and gentlemen, I now want to add a couple of ways to divide the shop further. So obviously we have the actual divisions in the floor, but I want to kind of make it a bit more exploratory. So on the left side of the build, we're going to leave a gap of 4, beginning from this row of vertical black concrete, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on this 5th block here, on the black concrete line, we're going to place 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black concretes moving backwards. So pretty much right in the middle of this space. The black concrete is going to be 3 rows high in total, so they'll almost hit the ceiling, and we want to have the same thing on the opposite side as well. So on the opposite side, we can just copy it though from the side that we've just done. So now we have 2 big dividers. But they're not just random black concrete areas in the middle of the store. What they're actually going to be is stands for mannequins. So we're going to place quartz stairs on the ends of each of the black concrete areas. We're going to fill in between using quartz slabs / quartz blocks. I don't have the blocks on me, so I'm just making them out of slabs. And what you're also going to do is extend out. On this left side, say, you want to extend the stair out, and then the 2 quartz blocks next to it. And then on this side, you want to do the inverse. So you'll do like this set of stairs and then 2 quartz blocks. So it's not the same on both sides, you know? Kind of fits together like a puzzle piece. Later on, we'll add mannequins and posters and stuff. But you see, it does quite a good job of now, you've literally got to, walk through all of these areas. I just think it looks quite cool. So now that we've kind of done with that with the middle area, or at least with the very, very middle area, on this back wall here, we are going to have stock. So I think it's actually kind of like a shoe area. So we're going to have a row of quartz slab, half a row off the ground. We want to have an entire full row above it. You want to leave half a row's gap, and then you want to place another row of quartz slabs. So these are just going to be shelves. Later on, we'll fill them up with chests and item frames and all that. The left side of the build is where we are going to have the till, the place to pay, all of that stuff. So I want you to begin with the back right hand corner of the building, and I want you to leave a gap of 3 in the ground. So that's 1, 2, 3. On this 4th block is where we're going to start off the cash register till area, and we're going to have a row of 10 black concrete moving towards the front of the build. So that's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to leave a gap of 1 and then place 2 black concretes extending back into the wall. Along this area, I'm going to have some cash registers. These are basically just going to be, say, quartz blocks with some weighted pressure plates next to them, just because I think it kind of looks like it. So I'm going to leave a gap, and then maybe I'll leave maybe I'll just leave a gap of 1, pressure plate, stairs, gap of 1, pressure plates, and then stairs. Something like that. They just look like tills pretty much. I'm going to have hanging off of this back wall here, and it's kind of hard to judge where it has to go, but I'll show you what the purpose of this is. We want to have a quartz slab row like this. Number 1, it can act as a shelf, but number 2, you know how you can return stock to stores? Let's say you try on some clothes and they don't fit, which has definitely happened to me, and you kind of return it, or you don't want something. This is where we're going to hang some clothes off of. So basically a row of quartz slab, and you just want to be able to hang some iron bars underneath it. Now we want to tackle this area, and this is pretty much the same sort of deal, right? So I want to have a row of iron trapdoors, just because it kind of looks cool. And these are going to be 2 blocks off the ground. And then we're also going to have just some iron bars here that you can say hang clothes off of. We'll be using banners to kind of achieve the effect of clothes a little bit later on. I also want to kind of highlight the till area, so I'm going to dig 2 rows in front of the tills, where we have the black concrete area, and I'm just going to place 2 rows of blue just to kind of highlight it. If you want, you can even do the same behind the tills, but I actually kind of like that. I think that looks quite cool. On the right side of the build, because that's the left side of the build, pretty much done. It will look a lot better once we add all of the banners and stuff. On the right side of the build, we have a few different things. So let's take care of the walls. The back wall here is going to be what we just made over there. So over here on this back wall, we're going to have the iron trapdoors, 2 rows off the ground, and then we're going to have the iron bars suspended off them. The front wall here is going to be what we essentially did there in the middle part of the build, which means a row of quartz slab, half row off the ground, gap of 2, row of quartz slab, so we can stock things there. But this middle part is where things differ, and we just to finish this part, we just need to grab some birch fence, and we will actually be using the weighted pressure plates again, because I did forget one little portion over there, but that's okay, we can come back to it. So this middle part here is going to have a mix of stuff, okay? It's going to have a mix of mannequins, and it's also going to have a mix of railings where, you know, clothes hang off of. So we want this area to be divided evenly. It's going to be as wide as the area of mannequins just to the left of us, and we just kind of want to create a little grid of some description, kind of like this, right? So we want to be 1 block away from the wall on the left, 1 block of the way away from the wall on the right, and the middle is kind of going to be like 2 blocks. So like it's kind of going to be like this almost, if this makes sense. Let me show you what I'm talking about here, right? So on the left side we've got like a birch, gap, birch. Same on the right, we're 1 row away from the wall, but the middle is 2 rows. So you're kind of going to want to like do 1 on the left and then 1 on the right, 1 on the left. You guys get the idea. Now all of these are also going to want to be birch fence, but the ones that are birch fence, we want to place some iron bars on top of them, okay? But some of these birch fence you're going to want to turn into solid concrete blocks that we can place mannequins on. I'll leave you to choose which you want to be which. I think I'll have this one too. So like this. So basically, and this will make a lot more sense later on, trust me. The blocks that we're going to place mannequins with clothes on, and then these ones here are going to have like banners hanging off them. And it will look really good. The only last little bit of detail that I want to add here, I mentioned earlier, this is where shoes are going to be. And you always see, like, wherever there's shoes, like, those little things that you can sit down on, those, like, little stools. So I figure a couple of black concretes with some weighted pressure plates on them look good as stools. And now this, ladies and gents, this is what we've got. This is, believe it or not, this is a huge amount of the store complete. All we've got to do now is some light decoration. And by light decoration, this is the sort of things that we're going to be using, right? So we're going to be using, say, sea lanterns. We'll need armor stands. We'll need paintings. We'll need item frames. We'll need chests. And then we need all different colors of banners, not just one. And we will need all different colors and all different types of clothing as well. So all of the armor, pretty much any kind of armor, you'll see what I mean as we go along. I'm going to work my way front to back. So in the front of the store, we want to have mannequins in these display windows. The mannequins are basically pretty much where we placed the logo. And we're going to place them right against the window. And where the mannequins go, I'm going to place sea lanterns in the ground and then armor stands on top. So even if it does become nighttime, then they will be highlighted and the window will be highlighted, like this. We want the same thing on the opposite side, of course. So on this opposite side here, where the logo is where we want to place this, like this. So here, here, and here, just like that. And if you want to, I have just noticed that it doesn't line up perfectly, like obviously like there's a bit of a gap here. You can fill this wall in here with black concrete if you wanted to, but I actually like the fact that it's a little bit airy in there. But that'll look really good from the front, and obviously you can outfit those mannequins with whatever you like. So like let's say that you wanted one mannequin, oh, you've got a new shirt that's being sold, and this one's got legs and this one's got boots. You guys get the idea, but you want to be a lot more inventive. You want to use different kinds of different materials. You're going to want to display different things on the mannequins, or don't. I mean, you know, you put as much effort into it as you like. I don't mind. What we then want to do is work our way into the store. So inside of the store, these two middle parts here, we kind of want them to be the same but also different at the same time. So we're going to place one mannequin, say like here, and one mannequin here. So they're going to be spread apart. So like one on this front bit, one on the back bit. And we'll do the same here. So like maybe say like one here and then one here. But I also want to have like displays for clothes. What's the best way to describe it? So basically, like, I want to use the 1x2 posters because they're actually people, right? Like these ones. And I kind of want to display the fact that there's clothes on sale. They just look like models, pretty much. Like this one. And say, like, this guy. No. Yes, perfect. So, like, these just look like as you walk around like clothes stores and stuff, you always see posters of models and stuff modeling the clothes, and that's kind of what I want to have here. So here, say, and like here, that's good, and then maybe just like one in the middle. Like I don't want them all to be stacked together. So there we go, perfect. And I do want them to be different ones. So that's good. I think that looks great. And then of course, you know, you can place these as well on the mannequins too. But imagine that that's all different clothing. On this back wall, it's just shoes. So basically, this is all we're going to do to fill up the shelves. Chest, item frame, chest, item frame, chest, item frame, chest. Or you can mix that up, you know, you can make it like a couple of chests, item frame, you guys get the idea. But it's actually meant to look quite clean. And that's what this middle part is. That's pretty much the whole thing done. On this left side, however, we are going to have... So, off of these, every time we've got an iron bar is an opportunity to place a banner. You can hang the banners off of one or both sides. And of course, imagine them to all be different colours. This is just, obviously, for display purposes. And above here, wherever you get a chance, you're going to want to place, like, paintings. Because there's often quite a lot of artwork and stuff in these stores. You can place paintings, and in the item frames that you can place beside them, you can place different offers for different clothes and all of that fun stuff. You can completely fill the walls, or you can leave gaps like this. Same thing above here, like, a lot of this is going to be the same. Can we place... No, you can't place chests here, but that's fine. So, again, just... pictures like this, you can place like item frames, and in the item frames you want to place a diverse array of clothes. Like you can even place banners if you like, but I don't think that the banners happen to look as good as actual, like, you know, armor. And every time that you have an iron bar, you have an opportunity to add a banner or something hanging off of it. And that's pretty much like what we'll be doing to the left side. The right side also, again, it's the same thing. So I mentioned earlier, we can have armor stands placed on all of these concretes, and then you can give them all different kinds of clothes. And you can hang the banners off of the iron bars, and you can make it look all cool. Same thing for this back area. Paintings like that. We can place stuff in the item frames. This area here is going to want to be a mix of chests and item frames. Usually I like to mess things up, but I have a feeling that it actually looks better if it's all uniform like this. And you can see, despite the fact that we've kind of like we've done things boring because we don't want to grab like all of the banners that we absolutely can. We've done things boring, but it does make a huge difference. This right side here as well is a good opportunity, by the way. If you want to add any windows into the build, this right side is actually a good opportunity. You can add, say, like little 2x2 windows, like say here, and even at the back. There's not really a good space to do it anywhere else. So like on this right side of the build is a good idea, but everywhere else is like kind of filled up. If you want, you can take the opportunity to say, like, take this little part of the wall here and you can add a bit of branding. So if you wanted to add, say, the Adidas logo, you can, and it is going to be tricky to actually fit in, but you can kind of like add it. So like you could start here, 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 like, you know, you can just kind of like add that like on the wall if you wanted to, or you could like add it on the back of here because there's actually a perfect amount of space for it. You know, you could do something like that. So maybe not this back wall then, which would allow us, by the way, to add a window. Here. perfect if we wanted to. And then you can have the logo there because there's actually plenty of space. I wouldn't do it on this side here, but you could absolutely have it there, which would look really cool. And that's pretty much the... I'm wearing the shoes. I didn't realize that. So this is pretty much the general gist of the store, guys. The only thing that we're missing is the fact that we have to use different colors of banners and we have to use different clothes to fill up the mannequins. So let me do that for myself and then we'll actually be done with the build. So again, let me do that for myself. Let me show you what it will look like if you do put a little bit more effort into it than I just have. And yeah, that's it. So this is what your Adidas store will look like once it has been 100% fully completed, ladies and gentlemen. The outside of the store is a little bit bland in comparison to the inside of the store, but we have managed to give it a nice, sleek, modern design with additional windows and framing. We have two large display windows on the left and right side of the store with underlighting, logos, and of course mannequins sporting some of the, pardon the pun, sporting some sportswear. We also have a large logo banner above the entrance of the store, and we have some glass doors. Now, the inside of the store has so many different kinds of display areas. It makes the store very, very interesting. You can see all of the mannequins have different sportswear. They all have different clothing. We have posters laden about the store. We have an area that kind of has racks of clothes, and we have displays for those clothes above the areas as well with paintings. This is the cash register area that has returns and also just more advertisements. We have the logo as well on the back of this display area. This is where the shoes are. You can see we filled them up with all different kinds of boots. We have the same thing over here as well, and we have some mannequins displaying all kinds of different clothing, all different colors of banners. That is the important thing, ladies and gentlemen. Variety really does make this store part. Make it nice and colorful, make the mannequins all have different wear on them, and it will look really cool. And the same can be said here as well, where we have this hat section. And that's it. I even managed to buy something from the store myself. I now have some diamond pants. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please do remember to subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and click that little bell next to the subscription button. That'll ensure that you get all my stuff sent directly to your sub box. And of course, if you want to make anything else by me, whether it be city related, house related, or whatever weird stuff I'm making next related, check out the card system, the description below, and the top of the comment section for more city stuff, the City Builds playlist. If you want to make a suburban house, I'll give you one guess what the playlist is called. The Suburban House playlist. You guys get the idea. There's a playlist for anything and everything that you could possibly want to make in Minecraft. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I love you all very, very much. Just as much as I love these pants, if not more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!